I got just a general Louisiana genetic group. That is like the craziest thing. Like Louisiana is they're just like, we don't know what to do. Just slap Louisiana on there. That being said, I still feel like my Irish was too low. Okay, I want to take the test and get my DNA, but then you saw this and you're like, what is this? This is your entry point into your family story. We are not focusing solely on race at this point, but we are looking at belonging to a shared identity with a group in a region. Hi, I'm so glad to see you. My name's Danielle Romero and welcome to my channel where we talk about American identity and family stories. And if you've been on my channel, you might not recognize me right now because I had a terrible hair coloring incident. I had some gray hair, which is not crazy because I'm almost 40. I had like 5 or 6 and I don't know, it was like bothering me. And so I wanted to dye my hair, and my roots are really dark brown, but the ends in the summer, there was like a line of demarcation. Like you could see where the sun had been damaging my hair in the ponytail in the summer. It was like, my hair turns almost like copper in the summer. And so the parts that hadn't been exposed to the sun were dark and it was coppery. And so I thought, well, I'll just color match to my hair color, which is, you know, kind of like dark chocolate brown, and do that. And so I did it at home and it came out way too dark, like way too dark. Thankfully, this kind washes out like 6 weeks, I think. But in the meantime, I don't know. I almost didn't sit down and record, but I'm like, that's stupid. I'll just tell you what happened. So I'm really excited to do this video. And normally for these kinds of videos, I would be like sitting at my desk and doing all this stuff, but we're doing this couch thing right now, which I love. So I actually printed out the stuff I want to talk about and I wrote some notes, but basically I want to go over the Ancestry community update that just happened. And I'm really excited about it. Normally when the updates happen, it crushes my heart a little bit because something just outrageous happens. But this was really a helpful update. And so I want to tell you three reasons why I think this was an extremely helpful update for everyone and share the results. And what's really special about the results I'm going to share with you is that I have 3 generations of results. So my grandmother's brother took the test. My grandmother didn't take an ancestry test before she passed away, although I do have her stuff on GEDmatch. So I don't know if there's a way to transfer to Ancestry. I really don't know. So let me know. So I have my grandmother's brother, and that's my mom's mom and my mom's uncle. And my mom took it and I took it. So I can compare the communities that we got from that side of the family and how different it looks and things like that. One of the reasons why I really love the Ancestry communities, and actually we're going to talk a little bit about the MyHeritage communities as well, because I got those too, is that they tell us not only who we are, but they tell us how we are. And what I mean by that is they give us communities, truly, and in the truest sense of the word. I think it also helps us broaden our definition of what a community is. So we'll go through some of those of mine. But for instance, I think that the DNA communities help us with some true communities of people that have been historically misrepresented or historically hidden, and that clustering is showing up in real time as people are taking these tests, and it's highlighting these hot spots where people have been for a long time. And I love the story that tells. So let's go through, first I'm gonna go through my mom's uncle. So it's my great uncle Danny. This is my Grammy's brother. And he had 7 communities. I'll put this up on the screen too, but I just want to show you what I'm reading from. So his first community was early Louisiana Creoles and African Americans. And then they had like a subset. It said Central and Southern Louisiana Creoles and African Americans. So there was just kind of a little like riff on the same thing. Totally expected that. East Central Louisiana Acadians, and so there you have them making a difference between Acadians and Creoles, which I know, you know, that's a whole thing. If you're from Louisiana or have Louisiana roots, you know that's a thing. The third one was Munster, Ireland. He actually got 2 Irish communities, and I want to talk about that a little bit later on in this video. But his dad was 100% Irish. His grandpa came from Ireland. And so we got 2 Ireland communities, which is really exciting to me. I don't know anything about these areas in Ireland, so I need to research. So maybe you can help me as they show up. So Munster, Ireland, and it says East Cork and Southeast Limerick, Central Munster, and the Galtee Mountains. So I don't know about that. Nacogdoches, Texas to Natchitoches, Louisiana. This one, actually, I have my Natchitoches mug. The oldest town in the Louisiana Purchase. I got this the first time I went to Natchitoches. And I actually am working on a video about that connection. This is just such a fantastic part of American history. Even if you don't have roots between these 2 cities, it's an incredible story. And so I'm working with a Mexican genealogist who's helping me with my family story, so I can bring you that video. And so he had 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me find my printer. When it prints, I feel like it just spits the pages out however it wants. And I come in, it's like a crime scene on the floor. It's just like a million pages everywhere. I really hate it. So then he also got South and Central Louisiana Creole and African American. So he has 2 Creole. It says early Louisiana Creole and African Americans and South and Central Louisiana Creole and African Americans. I'll need to figure out what that means, but he got 2 Creole hits. He got Southeastern Quebec French settlers, which I don't know anything about that. I mean, I know the French influence, obviously, in Louisiana, but I'm surprised that it's coming up as a DNA community. So again, let's go to the second value point, I would say, for these ancestry communities. They bridge the gap between oral history and the document trail. And what I mean by that is I really feel like they show the family's place in migration. And I know a lot about my family in Louisiana, but there are a lot of places where when you're studying the family tree, it starts branching off really fast, right? You have 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, and it just keeps multiplying. And so you start taking one path, and that takes you way the heck down here, while over here, you're not even looking over there. And so when I see these communities, now I'm going to go into the documents, into the family tree, with an eye for this, because there's something in the DNA that is matching with people, it's giving them enough to highlight this information. And it makes sense, right? I mean, I think if they threw something completely insane in here, you might say, well, I need to back that up with a paper trail. But I love the idea of situating our ancestors, situating our family historically. We want to situate them in a physical location, but we also need to situate them historically. So, knowing what I do about Louisiana and also knowing what I don't know about Louisiana, this would be really fun, I think, I'm going to look for those documents that would support this story. And the second Irish community that my great uncle got was Ulster. So I know very little about Irish history. I know very little about Ireland in general. So I'm sure some of you know more than I do. I don't know the difference right now. I could stop the camera right now, look it up, get back on and edit it to pretend like I do, but I don't know. But he has 2. So if you know anything about Ireland, if you could tell me even about the Munster Ireland and Ulster Irish communities, I'd be fascinated. So this is what I would assume that my grandmother would get, my maternal grandmother. Okay, so let's go to my mom now. And my mom also got 7. And my mom's is going to be a little different. Oh, before we go into my mom, this I want to show you. So my great uncle Dan got something that only showed up for him. Nobody else got this. And it was an ethnic group in one of his ancestry percentages. Now, his biggest ancestry percentage is Irish. He got a lot of Irish DNA, even though he on paper is only half. He got a lot. I think he got like 60-something%. But he got part of the new update were these ethnic groups. And this is what's so crazy to me. This was not his predominant thing. He didn't get ethnic groups for any other group, just for the Nigeria component. And it says that you share DNA with at least one person in our reference panel who comes from a group below. You may be connected to one or more of these groups. And they list these ethnic groups within Nigeria. And this is why it's like you think that you know everything there is to know, and really there's not. Because there's like diversity in the diversity in the diversity. You know what I mean? Like when you're really drilling in, it's like, well, we have Creole heritage. Well, you actually have this, and African heritage, right? And it's like, well, Africa's a continent. What country? And now we're in Nigeria, and it's like, now we're gonna drill down even more. I think it is Yoruba. That is one of the groups that are listed, and there's a couple reasons why I think it's Yoruba. One is I had a professional genealogist like 15 years ago look at my raw DNA, and he actually pinpointed that as like one of my, like he put that in one of my main groups, and I had never heard of it before. But the second thing that just immediately came to mind was someone, I think from Nigeria, they said they were from Nigeria, commented on a video about my great-grandmother Lola last year and said, I'm from Nigeria, and here the name Lola means abundance and wealth. Like it was a Nigerian name. And I know that she got her name from her dad's mom. And that was the predominant African Creole line. I don't know. I just thought it was super interesting. And again, now I'm just kind of like put it in the back of my mind and use it to inform my research and kind of test it out that way. So let's go to my mom's. So mom's is a little different. If you watched the last video of my mom, I talked about how, you know, I don't know my mom's dad's side, her biological dad's side. Like I have an idea of some stuff just based on the DNA, but I don't know the family story. But that definitely showed up in her communities. So I just want to talk about hers. So her first one was her dad's side. Central Southwest Italy. And on her dad's side, there was Sicilian, there was Turkish, there was North African, all kinds of stuff. So that's what that side is. The rest I know is from her mom's side. It's the Louisiana side. My mom also got early Louisiana Creoles and African Americans. My mom also got East Central Louisiana Acadians. She also got Munster, Ireland. She also got Nacogdoches, Texas to Natchitoches, Louisiana. And my mom also got South and Central Louisiana Creole and African Americans. And Ulster, like she basically got everything that her uncle got, except she had the Italian community from her biological dad. Okay, so let me tell you what I got. I only got three ancestral journeys. And mine, I think, are pretty representative, but there's one thing that was missing, and that was, actually there are two things I was kind of surprised that were missing. So the first one I got was a Central Southwest Italy. Now, my dad's side of family they were Italian immigrants from Southern Italy. So I was like, okay, well, dad's being wrapped here, so that's great. I got East Central Louisiana Acadians. Now, I used to have Louisiana Creoles as a community, and then they just switched it. So now I don't have that, but my mom has it and her uncle has it. But I got the Acadians. But I did get Nacogdoches, Texas to Natchitoches, Louisiana. I don't know how they're figuring this stuff out. I don't know if it's like maybe I have more DNA that ties me to Texas than ties me to wherever, and so that's how I got the community. I don't know. But I also got communities from MyHeritage, and I want to talk about those. So the MyHeritage test, I did a whole video on, and I actually feel like the MyHeritage test was the most accurate test I've ever had, based on my paper trail. The Ancestry test I just took, they gave me only like 8% Irish. Now, here's the thing. I'm understanding that the percentages first don't really matter that much. Like, I get that. And also, you know, the bag of marbles that are getting drawn for you from the DNA bag are going to vary. That's how it works. You know, siblings aren't going to match and all that. That being said, I still feel like my Irish was too low. So the MyHeritage one, just very briefly, I'll show you this, and then I want to tell you about the communities. So I have about 30% Irish, and they also had Limerick there. I was about 30% Italian, about 20% Greek and Southern Italian, so just like Mediterranean. 3% North and West European, 7% Nigerian, so that ties in with what my mom and her uncle got. 1 or 2% North African, about 3% Middle Eastern. Okay, but they gave me genetic groups, and I think this is my heritage's response to the DNA communities. I got Creoles of color in Louisiana, so they let me be Creole on this test. I got just a general Louisiana genetic group. That is like the craziest thing. Like Louisiana is they're just like, we don't know what to do. Slap Louisiana on there. Southern USA, like again, not super helpful. Eastern Puerto Rico, which I talked about this in the original video. I know that I don't have Puerto Rican ancestry or heritage, but I do think that there's 1 or 2 ancestors that may have come from Trinidad, and also the Creole mix can be very similar to the Puerto Rican mix. And so maybe my heritage got confused. I don't know, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll find a mysterious Puerto Rican ancestor. Maybe on my mom's dad's side. I don't know. That I don't know. I did get French settlers in central Louisiana, and I got UK and Ireland. So I felt like they hit more, they had more options. I'll tell you the most important reason why I think that these DNA communities, these ancestry communities are really a home run. They really are. And the tests will change and all that. But what I think that these do is they help us expand beyond our ethnic identity. And what I mean by that is that we are not, and I wrote some notes, we are not focusing solely on race at this point, but we are looking at belonging to a shared identity with a group in a region. I think it honors the migrations that have happened, and there were waves of different migrations depending on who your ancestors were. I'm sure that you know about some of them, and maybe there's some still to discover. And there's the other socio-political factors that just kind of influence groups and squeeze certain communities to go this way or go that way. And that adds to the layers of defining our identity. It's not just like I'm 6% this and 31% this, but it's my family comes from this community, this region of the country. We were there during that time. And in particular, the one that really strikes me just looking at this is the one that all 3 of us got. I don't know why I was like doing this. All 3 of us got. My Grammy's brother, my mom, and I all got Nacogdoches, Texas to Natchitoches, Louisiana. And so I'm planning on doing a really, I'm going to say really great video, but it's an important video to me because that is such a huge part of the American story, and it really is not talked about. It's pretty crazy. Like, it's so interesting. And so that showing up is a confirmation to me. And now I've got the documents that I'm working on, and we got the DNA side that I'm working on. But you couldn't look at Nacogdoches, Texas to Natchitoches, Louisiana and be like if somebody stopped you on the street and you're like, what are you? And you're like, well, I'm Nacogdoches, Texas to Natchitoches, Louisiana. It's like, it doesn't mean anything like that. But when you're studying this, it does have an identity. There is a flavor to this. There's an understanding of the historical forces that affected this area and the people and the decisions that people had to make. And there's so many other areas like that. I want to dive in to the Irish communities. I want to understand what was going on in those communities at the time that my family left and came to the United States. Is there something that I can learn about to say, they left because of this reason, and that influenced them coming to New York, influenced me being here right now. I love that. I love that. And there's so many of those stories in your family tree because, like I was saying, the ancestors start multiplying like a lot as you're going up the levels. And I'm just so fascinated by that. So I feel like Ancestry did a really great job, and my heritage did a good job too. But I love how Ancestry lays it out here and just gives you a sense of the historical experience for ancestors. And I feel like kind of gives you a new way to look at maybe the documents you're doing or the stories you've heard, or even just give you a starting off point. I mean, maybe you haven't started researching your family and you're thinking, okay, I want to take the test and get my DNA, but then you saw this and you're like, what is this? This is your entry point into your family's story. And I think it's just super awesome. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm interested to hear if you got the ethnic groups. I think the new rollout was supposed to be like new African groups. So maybe that's why I think maybe that's what it was. Now that I'm on here, that may be why we only got an ethnic group for Nigeria and not an ethnic group for Ireland or whatever. That I would be really interested to see. When I was studying a little bit about Ireland, these areas are not monoliths. As I've shared with you before as I've been researching this. And I would love to drill down more. And I just appreciate this so much. So let me know if you have taken this test. I know a lot of people hate giving the government the information. I completely understand. I mean, that ship has sailed for me. So now I'm like, well, I'm in it now. But I just love seeing these ancestral journeys. Something that Ancestry does not give, though, the 23andMe gives. The one thing I'd say 23andMe gives a leg up on is the haplogroups. And so my haplogroup and my mom's haplogroup, our maternal one that gets passed on, C1C. And it's interesting because that one's indigenous to the Americas, but as you can see, it's not like there's a ton of indigenous ancestry here. The only place really where you would see it would be the Nacogdoches, Texas to Nacogdoches, Louisiana, but it doesn't matter what the amount of the DNA is. This is just a marker that gets passed on. So it got passed on from Lola to my grandmother Marion, to my mother, to me, and I passed it on to my daughters ostensibly. And if they have daughters, we get passed on to them. It's just really cool. It's a really cool part of the story. So let me know if you saw this and what you think about this. I only got 3 ancestral journeys. So my mom got 7, her uncle got 7, and mine got shaved down to 3, but I still feel like it's some really good leads. So I'm excited about that. And it's finally cold here in Nashville. I was just on my back porch enjoying it. This is what is so sick about Nashville, though. It is cold out. Like, I had to put my sweatshirt on, and you can grab these at newyorktonashville.com. There were mosquitoes on me. It is so cold that I need a sweatshirt, but the mosquitoes, they're like barely hanging on, but they found me. And I just hate that there's no break point of, well, now it's not as nice and warm anymore, but at least it's chilly with the bugs gone. It's like, no, it's chilly with the bugs here. So I don't know what to do about that. But I was glad I got to wear my sweatshirt outside. It made me so happy. And if you made it this far, I want to fill you in on something. This is for end of video folks only. I'm going to be talking about this from now on. I am, I think, doing a Kickstarter to launch a book, and the book is not going to be like a regular book. It's going to be much more of sharing my journey of connecting to my hidden heritage and bringing you along with me, documents, poems, prose, pictures, family interviews. It's going to be, much more of like we're sitting together just like this. And one of the things I'm hoping to do on that Kickstarter is have a couple options for a limited number of people to do a live Zoom call with me where we can be on there live together, talking, time for a Q&A. I just think it'll be really fun. So if you're interested in finding out about that when that launches, I'm hoping by maybe